Hello, hi everyone, and welcome. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us and learn more about the Critical Language Scholarship Program. The Critical Language Scholarship Program, or the CLS program, is a program of the United States Department of State with funding provided by the U.S. government and supported in its implementation by American Councils for International Education. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Bo Knudsen, and I work as Senior Program Officer with the program on the Swahili and Portuguese languages. And I'm joined here today by my colleague, Josie Krieger, who I will let introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. So happy to see so many people in the crowd today. My name is Josie Krieger, and I'm the Communications Officer with the Critical Language Scholarship Program at American Councils for International Education. I'm going to pass it off to our alumni ambassadors who can introduce themselves, starting with Matthew.
Hi guys, I'm Matthew. I just did CLS Hindi this summer, and I'm currently a third year student at Columbia University studying sustainable development. I'll pass it off to Lydia.
Hi, I'm Lydia. I did CLS Swahili this past summer, and I just graduated from Emory University, where I pursued a major in anthropology and human biology and linguistics, and now I'm getting my master's at St. Andrews in Scotland.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. We will begin this presentation with a quick overview of CLS, in case you're not already familiar with the program, before we talk through some of the questions we frequently receive from students who are applying to learn a language at the beginning level. Throughout the presentation, we will also hear from these two wonderful 2025 alumni about their experiences in applying for and participating in CLS. Feel free to use the Q&A box as we go along. We'll have time at the end of the presentation to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Josie. The CLS program is an intensive summer opportunity that's funded by the U.S. government. The summer of 2026 will be the 20th anniversary of the CLS program, which was launched in 2006 as part of the National Security Language Initiative. This interagency initiative was designed to expand the number of Americans who study and speak languages of strategic importance to the United States national security, economic prosperity, and engagement with the world. The CLS program is proud to have supported over 10,000 Americans since the program's inception. By supporting American students in developing advanced language skills, CLS prepares them to contribute to a globalized workforce, strengthen U.S. economic leadership, and advance national security.
The 2026 CLS program will take place over the course of 8 weeks between June and August. Small group classes and activities will be facilitated by faculty and staff at host institutions abroad. Each of our partner institutes will host 15 to 20 students, further divided into smaller class sizes by language level, which ensures strong learning outcomes as well as more opportunities for the cohort to share and develop interests with each other. Due to the program's intensity, students should be prepared to fully commit to CLS and set aside other obligations like independent travel, research, or internships.
Beyond the structured language classes, participants immerse themselves in the culture through activities like tea ceremonies, calligraphy lessons, and tours to historic sites. Outside of the classroom, participants are also assigned to language partners from the host community to help practice everyday conversation skills. CLS alumni report that their language partners are often their favorite part of the program, and some become lifelong friends. The CLS program emphasizes the importance of fostering meaningful connections with local culture and individuals in the host country or region. To that end, students are placed with host families or dormitory living with local students to further support cultural immersion.
Due to the immersive nature of the CLS program, we expect all participants, even beginners, to follow our language policy. This means you'll be speaking your CLS target language in the classroom and during all program activities and excursions. There is a short grace period for beginners as they get acclimated to the classroom, but you will be amazed by how much you can speak and understand after a week or two. While it's not necessary to know any of the language before you begin the program, preparing in advance can help ease your transition. Taking time to learn a few basic phrases like hello and thank you can go a long way in making your initial experiences, especially traveling to a new country, feel a bit more comfortable and less overwhelming. Even small efforts before the program can set a positive tone for your immersive experience.
Help you navigate this immersive experience, every site has a resident director or an RD who is proficient in both English and the target language. RDs hold weekly meetings with all students and are also available for any individual support students may need while they're on the program. RDs are there to help you communicate with host country program staff and navigate your new city, and are available to do things like take you to the doctor and help translate if you are sick. They are also there to lend an ear if you need support with adjustment to the host culture or country.
As you can see, the CLS program is committed to providing a challenging but supportive environment to help you fully immerse yourself in the language and culture. Along with this invaluable learning experience, CLS also offers a range of benefits to ensure that your time abroad is both rewarding and affordable. Let's take a look at what the program covers. Costs covered by the program include round-trip international airfare to your program site, in addition to any applicable visa fees, housing and meals, classroom instruction, and the cost of program-sponsored cultural programming and group trips in the host country. You will not just come out of the program with basic vocabulary. You will be able to hold conversations in the language. CLS program participants make significant gains in their language abilities. In just 8 weeks, participants typically improve by 2 proficiency sublevels on the ACTFL scale, equivalent to completing 1 year of college-level language study. Language gains are recognized with an ACTFL OPI certificate upon completion of their program and undergraduate credit through Bryn Mawr College, which is documented on an official transcript.
Of course, language gains are only just one part of the impact. CLS also supports students' long-term growth through career opportunities and a strong alumni community. Other great benefits for participants include contributing to and building community within a cohort from across the United States, as well as becoming members of a supportive network of CLS and U.S. Department of State alumni, international exchange alumni. CLS alumni receive access to professional development resources and lots of other opportunities that are open only to alumni of the U.S. Department of State programs.
And now we will turn it over to Lydia King. Lydia, can you tell us a bit about yourself, why you decided to apply, and what you thought were the most rewarding aspects of CLS?
Yeah, so I grew up in Rwanda, so I was interested generally in the region of East Africa. And when I was in college, I worked in a disease ecology lab where I was working on translated texts that were translated from Kiswahili and then into English. And what I realized is that a lot of our takeaways were being affected by like this like mistranslation of our texts. And so that kind of got me interested in this idea of like how is translation and differences in language proficiency affecting how like public health outcomes. So I really wanted to take kind of my experience in East Africa and my knowledge of Kinyarwanda, which is what they speak in Rwanda, and use it to learn Swahili, looking forward to a goal of working in global health, either like at the CDC or with a global health nonprofit. But I went in to CLS like as a beginner in Swahili, so I think that definitely like there was a lot of trepidation going in there. I was very nervous, but I think that something that everybody in CLS echoed was that it really was a language experience unlike any other. I think like something that we said is we were like, we kind of understand now why our high school language classes didn't work. Um, and so I came in as a beginner and I finished like as an advanced Swahili speaker. So over the course of my summer, like I saw really insane language gains. And I think that what was really cool about that too was that so CLS gives you really good scaffolding to interact with your community in really meaningful ways, but that also means like you don't like you can also find community outside of the program. So based on like the language gains I was getting and like all of the chats I was having with my language partners, I was also able to join like a frisbee pickup league in Arusha. So every Friday I'd go play frisbee. And that was just a really fun way to be able to engage in my community a bit more and like also a way to see my language progress with people that were seeing me at discrete moments in time. So I would come like the first week I was like, I can pretty much say I'm Lydia and I'm American. And by the end I was like, I conducted for our like final project, I conducted like one of my interviews was fully in Swahili. And so just like being able to see that was so incredible. Um, and then I think the other thing that was really cool was how close our cohort was. It was just like yeah, the like best group of people that I've ever interacted with, just like so everyone was so kind and so dedicated to like the reasons that they were learning their language. Um and like for instance, like even in our first week, it was two people's birthdays. And so we all organized, we're like, oh, we're all gonna go out to dinner. And every single person showed up. So like every person was like, okay, I'm coming, I'm gonna come to this dinner, including my friend Anderson, who was fully having an interview with the Associated Press, and he took it on the bus. And we were like, Anderson, why would you do this? But I thought that it was always like such a good picture of how committed everybody was to community in the program. And also, I don't think that we've told you this, Bo, but we're doing a CLS reunion, an informal one, and I think that like 16 of us are gonna try to see each other in New Year's. So just kind of a picture of like the type of bonds that you form, I think was really, really special.
Thank you so much, Lydia. And exactly what you were saying, you're not only developing a community when you're on program, but after, one of the many benefits that Alumni Network. So thank you again. And if you have any questions for Lydia, please ask them in the Q&A chat, and we will make sure we get those to her at the end of the webinar. Now we will turn it over to Matthew Chen. Matthew, can you tell us a bit about yourself, why you decided to apply, and what you thought were the most rewarding aspects of CLS?
Yes. So I originally chose to apply to CLS because I already had some fluency in Hindi. I went to India one time before via the Boren scholarship, and then I developed some fluency there. So I wanted to really get from like intermediate to the advanced level. And then more personally, Hindi was important to me because in the future I want to work in the field of international development, and diplomacy. And given India's like global presence, I wanted to learn more about the country, especially one of the most important languages there. And then I would say what's most rewarding from um, CLS is not only the language gains that everyone gets, but also like the cultural gains that you get. So I felt like I really understood how language and culture are so intertwined. So like because I was learning with the family, like I felt like I was learning very organically. Like I had to ask my host mom like, can I have my food served in this way, or like can I help you do this? And struggling through um struggling through that basic daily language, especially with the host family context and a very organic context, made learning the language feel very natural and feel very like tangible and useful. Um, so that part was really beneficial to me. Additionally, I felt like there's also challenges with that, but the challenges are very rewarding. Like living with the host family, there's things that miscommunication that always happens, um, like not coming home on time for dinner or something like that. I always felt like I needed to, um, or that's just an example of how like I needed to practice sensitivity and practice like cultural learning because growing up in the US, like you never think about that. But when you're in somewhere else, in a different country, then it really teaches you to think about it more deeply. And then of course, like Lydia shared, I felt like the cohort was absolutely amazing. Before we went, somebody started a WhatsApp group chat. I feel like that was the most like important moment for us because like Lydia shared, we also did birthdays. Like we had like 5 birthdays across the program, and we did every single thing together. And then now I think a third of us are in New York, so we get together like every month to do Hindi practice conversation. We even meet on Zoom with the entire cohort to just catch up and talk in Hindi. Um, so the relationships that I built through CLS are like they truly feel lifelong, even though I'm only like 21, who can say, but that is what it feels like.
Thank you so much, Matthew, and especially for those insights into family life, host family life, and how you grow in those daily interactions. If you have any questions for Matthew and also for Lydia, again, please put those in the chat in the Q&A section, and we will address those at the end of the webinar. But with that, Bo, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, Josie. And thank you so much, Matthew and Lydia, for sharing your perspectives. And I know we already have some questions in the chat for you. So people are eager to hear more from you. So we'll keep moving. So for the 2026 CLS program, there are 4 languages that are offered at the beginning level. These languages are Hindi, Persian, Portuguese, and Swahili. It is important to keep in mind that when you apply for the CLS program, you are applying for a language of study rather than a specific study destination, country, or city. Program sites do change sometimes, and they can change each year due to factors like participant health and safety. And these sites are usually confirmed in the springtime. So if you're selected for the CLS program, you will receive information about your institute site in that notification email. While we don't have a set timeline for announcing sites, we are confident that CLS offers an excellent opportunity to advance your language skills, no matter where these sites are held.
Many students ask how to choose a language to study and whether some programs are easier to get into as beginner. The truth is there's no simple answer. Our beginner level language programs are all fairly competitive. What matters most is your ability to make a compelling case for how learning a particular language aligns with your long-term goals. The strongest applicants explain how gaining proficiency in a critical language will open doors academically or professionally that might otherwise remain closed. Demonstrating a clear connection between your goals and the language you're applying to is a key part of the application and selection process. We recommend spending some time looking into what is happening globally in your field. If there's a specific job you hope to have one day, or a specific organization you'd like to work for, explore where these opportunities might intersect with international communities and foreign languages. You can also reach out to an instructor or faculty member in your field of study to talk through some ideas and to ask whether they have suggestions for further exploration.
Language learning is a process, and the CLS program is just one step along the way. For that reason, it's very important for you to present a persuasive case in your application, explaining your interest in the language and how you intend to continue your study of the language following the program's completion. This can be particularly challenging if you've never studied the language before, or if your campus does not offer formal classes in the language of your choice. But don't panic. We can assure you that you are not the only one without access to intermediate Persian or Swahili classes. We expect that most applicants will need to do some research to pin down what they can do after CLS to continue to develop their language skills. Research what options are available to continue developing your language skills after CLS. Be proactive and creative. Don't dwell on the limitations of language study in your community. Instead, emphasize how you plan to overcome these challenges. Consider the next steps in your language learning journey, whether that's pursuing graduate studies, joining a local conservation group, or engaging in online courses and language exchanges. You should show that you're committed to finding opportunities regardless of the obstacles.
The CLS program works in close partnership with faculty and staff members at colleges and universities throughout the United States. These dedicated individuals volunteer their time to serve as advisors and support students interested in applying for the CLS program, playing a crucial role in the success of the initiative. We highly recommend you reach out to them at the start of your application for guidance throughout the application process. You can see if there's a CLS advisor at your institution by visiting clscholarship.org/universities or using the QR code on the screen. If there is no CLS advisor at your institution, faculty might be able to provide suggestions for topics related to international aspects in specific fields. Writing centers, study abroad offices, fellowship or scholarship offices, or career centers are also available on many campuses for feedback on essays. As you refine your application, remember to plan for timely submission. Staying organized and making use of the support networks available to you will help ensure your application is as strong and compelling as possible when you are ready to apply for the 2026 CLS program.
The application for the 2026 CLS program is now open, and it will close on Tuesday, November 18th at 8 p.m. or 5 p.m. Pacific time. We recommend submitting your application well in advance of the deadline to avoid any last-minute computer glitches that might prevent you from submitting on time. Notifications of semifinalist status will be sent by email in late January 2026. Then, finalists, alternates, and non-recipients will be notified by email in early March 2026. Students who are selected for the award will have 2 weeks, just about 2 weeks, to either accept or decline the award, at which point declined awards will be offered to alternate candidates. Before I pass things on to Josie to wind things down, I did want to add just a disclaimer to this webinar that all content in this webinar is the property of the Critical Language Scholarship Program and is provided only to registered attendees. Any form of recording or distribution, including screen recording, is prohibited.
Thank you, Bo. That concludes today's formal presentation. We will be offering weekly office hours throughout the rest of the application period where you can drop in and ask your questions. You can register for these virtual events and more at clscholarship.org/events. Otherwise, you can call or email us if you have questions about the program or the application. Our phone number is 1-202-833-7522, and our email address is cls@americancouncils.org. Thank you again for taking the time to join us this afternoon. We'll go through questions in the order they've come in through the Q&A window.